Hello, everybody. Oh, my goodness. I'm very excited. We are starting this live broadcast, and I'm here with you today with Innalee, Cessna, and Mike Murphy. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're very excited to be doing this live broadcast. You can see I'm grinning ear to ear. And I'm being both the Wizard of Oz, doing all the technical stuff, but also having a lot of fun interviewing, and also interviewing from my own open heart, having experienced your training as coaches and masters of leadership. And this is such a powerful subject for me. It's really something that really ignites me personally. And this is kind of a dream come true. It's extremely inspiring to me to be working with both of you, and also to have you join me today on this live streaming event. This is kind of our first event. We're kind of just stepping our feet into water, having a little fun with this. But if you're joining us, please go ahead and send a comment, ask a question. This is a live broadcast, so we're just going to be relaxing, and we're going to be talking about some very inspiring things that we've spoken about before in the powerful trainings that both of you have been creating and are continuing to create, including something that is upcoming that I'm super excited about announcing. So Innalee and Mike, I'd love to just ask you a few questions about, the Institute for Next Level Leadership. How did this get started? I mean, where was it born? I mean, was there a certain inspiration that you had for creating this?
Yeah, so I'll start with that question. It was born a long time ago, more than 20 years ago. Actually, probably before I met Mike. I grew up in a country, Brazil, under dictatorship. It was a lot of tension, and leadership was always obvious to me. That was the backdrop of everything that was happening, whether good or bad, that's where everything started. And so throughout my life, I was inspired by many American leaders, Dr. Martin Luther King or John F. Kennedy or Abraham Lincoln. And they inspired me to look for a nation, to look for an environment where that is fostered. And that was what brought me to the US. And I came to the US as a student. I became an attorney and started working for a corporation where I met Mike. Mike was the CEO of that corporation. And in my views, he demonstrated mastery in leadership. And I was in the position in the head office where I was facing many leaders from all over the world, including the owners of the company. And Mike always stood out as somebody who was very grounded in physical world reality, and yet very inspired by something greater than him. Well, long story short, of course, we fell in love. It's been 20 years of marriage, and I've been observing this master for 20 years, in addition to my own studies of spirituality, spiritual sciences, spiritual psychology, my background in law. In my corporate life, in my lawyer life, I protected the essence of brands. And so I was a trademark attorney looking for what are the essence of those brands in their appearance, in what they bring to the world that is unique theirs. And from there, I became a mother, and I've been fostering the essence for my children. I was also a mediator in the Los Angeles legal court systems, where I was mediating civil harassment cases. And so I would see the parties come in the highest point of their conflict and try to carve the essence of the parties so that they could come into an agreement that would benefit them all. And finally, here I am as a coach and as a facilitator, creating an opportunity or a program that foster that awareness and that connection with essence. Because in my view, that's the inner leader. Essence is the inner leader, the inner leader, and it is the way where we find our answers, where we find our inspiration, and we find our motivation. That's how the Institute was created, with the mission to empower leaders from within. so that from within we can then expand out with a different source, with a different motivation, with a different enthusiasm than that of our personality. And a lot of the work that we do is distinguishing what's essence, what's personality. How do I know when I'm essence? How do I know when I'm in personality? How essence can lead personality rather than have the personality leading essence. This has been a great foundation for the work. It's based on the Enneagram, which is an ancient tool with more than 2,500 years of history. And it has been the inspiration and the foundation for every program we have in the Institute today.
Beautiful. And when you share about essence and how that's kind of shown up in every area of your life, it's such a charged word for me. I mean, the essence, especially when you kind of delineate it from personality. And I'll just share with you, as many of you know, some of you who are watching, you may be familiar with both Emily and Michael. Mike from the University of Santa Monica. And Mike, I used to experience you kind of coming and going when I was on staff at the University of Santa Monica. And you always seemed to me like kind of a mysterious guy. Like you seem to kind of have leadership emanating from you. And there was part of me that kind of knew your background. And also we talk about at USM things like positive projections, where you try to look for in yourself on the characteristics of the people that you're connecting with. I would always use you as a positive projection, because I do believe that at one point in my graduation from the University of Santa Monica, which is also known as the Worldwide Center of Spiritual Psychology, you were presented with this wonderful award, the Angel of Light. It was an amazing honor. And I saw you up there really in your essence, in your mastery. And Mike, that you and Emily have been creating this together. Do you have any stories about how this Institute of Next Level Leadership has come forward in your consciousness in partnership with Emily?
Oh yeah, so many. I'll tell you a fast story about that award. I didn't know they were talking about me.
Really?
He had to say, Mike.
Oh,
The first thing I said when I got up there, I said, boy, I wish my mom was alive. She used to describe me as the only hell she ever raised, like that country western song. But yes, I do. Beyond that, I know I really shared Enilee's dream, and I referred to it as a dream because everybody has a plan. Everybody except Enilee and Martin Luther King. He had a plan too. No, he had a dream also, but I just, I loved being a leader, and I really enjoyed it. And I said, oh, this is my calling. And I also knew almost intuitively that most of the leaders that I worked for, I did what they said, but I didn't follow them, because I didn't feel aligned. And this frustration, it really is a frustration. I think leadership is a wonderful thing. And as Enilee said, it really comes from within. And I found that the most difficult thing of being responsible for others is to take them places that they don't want to go. And in order to lead them, you really have to be aligned. I found I really had to be aligned. I need to have a mission and a vision and a purpose and a system that had been time tested. I learned from my oldest daughter that, in my words, not hers, but she demonstrated that you never really know what you believe in until it becomes incredibly inconvenient. But I tell you, we as people, we gather, we gather, even if we are perfectly comfortable in our own imperfection. It means we find people that believe what we believe. And this is not about good, bad, right, wrong, tall, short, pretty, ugly. This is about alignment. And if you have this sense of purpose, and if you have a mission, if you have a vision, if you have a set of values that they live by, and others see that, that's part of the alignment, because we gather with people who believe what we believe.
Yes,
And
and there's a certain community tied in with this too. And it's something I've experienced very strongly in my connection with your training. You know, the community that was formed around the Enneagram Riddles offering, that was a 20-week certification course connecting the work of the Enneagram, not only with the way we showed up as leaders, but with the way we showed up in everything. That actually kind of leads me to my next question. And I'd love to hear you share really about the next level. The Institute for Next Level Leadership is going to be offering something that's going to be coming up pretty quickly, and I believe it has pretty limited enrollment, and it's something involving very specifically what you've been sharing about, both Emily and Mike, regarding how leadership shows up. And I'd love to hear you share about what this offering is, and also who is this offering for?
The program is inspired by the wisdom of the Enneagram.
Yes.
Right? The Enneagram show us our lows and our highs. And based on our own personal experience, the experience of our clients, the experience we've worked with, we've seen in our work with others, we developed some paths that takes us from our lower self to our higher grounds, to our essence. And so the Enneagram has 9 points, so we developed 9 paths. All these paths have a purpose, have the purpose to bring alignment of our body, our minds, and our hearts, so that in that alignment, something greater shows up. Maybe we call it spiritual, maybe we call it instinctual, maybe we call it our essential nature, whatever name we give it. When we are aligned in mind, body, and heart, something greater comes forward. And that alignment is a result of the program. Another thing is awareness. Is the understanding that we are all different. We have different perspectives, different goals, different levels of development, different personalities. And so how do we work with our differences to create oneness, to create harmony, and to take us to a goal that is greater than each one of us alone? The third thing is confidence. Because when we are aligned and we start understanding something greater than ourselves, there's greater confidence that comes within us. We realize we are stronger than we think we are. We are bigger than we think we are, because we are no longer alone, either inside of us or outside. We know how to connect, how to unite, how to lead ourselves and others towards a certain direction. And finally is success. Now, success, what is success? There would be 7 billion answers to these questions. Everybody has their own definition of success. But what we mean by success here is the ability to stand in your next level, whatever your next level may be. And for some people, the next level may be a promotion, may be something amazing. For other people, may be a challenge. It may be a relationship that ends, or a relationship that starts, or a new job, or the sale of a home, whatever the next level is. Success means to stand strong in that next level and to know how to move on, to move forward, because we're always moving forward towards an optimized direction. And so in this program, we're going to look at those essentials that helps us move on regardless into our next level, and then into our next level, and so forth. And there are 9 of them. They're integration, collaboration, adaptation, stabilization, small actions, trust, sacrifice, simplicity, observation, and visualization. These are the 9. Some of them are very misunderstood. Nobody wants to talk about sacrifice. Like, I don't want a life of sacrifice. But in an unconscious way, we block ourselves from something very necessary in our lives, which is, what do I sacrifice in order to do something else? How do I discern what to let go so that something can come in? That's one example. Another one is trust. Everybody talks about trust. I have to trust my spouse. I have to trust my children. I have to trust my government. I have to trust this and that. But trust doesn't exist outside of us. Outside of us, we have no control of what's going to happen and what others will do. Trust can really only exist inside of us. And how do I find it inside of me? What does it mean to trust inside of me? What am I trusting inside of me? And so there's a whole new way of looking at trust that brings us into another alignment within ourselves so that we can stand in our next level leadership with these essentials. Now, the magic in these essentials is not one or another, because we all kind of know them, separately. The magic of these essentials is the combination of them all. The Enneagram is wonderful in creating a map of essence that is somewhat simple to understand. And so these essentials are derivative of these Enneagram essence, which are meant to be together. They are parts of the same thing. And when they are together, when we are conscious of them, not that we are utilizing them all at the same time, but when we are conscious of them and open to them, we can dance amongst them. And that's the magic that allows us to stand in a place of a different kind of leadership that we call next level leadership.
That's very compelling. And I can speak from experience, having gone through the training last year. It was something that had a life of its own. And, you mentioned trust. It was interesting because to me, the way that showed up was a certain amount of surrender to something larger. And Mike, I know you used to speak of kind of a combination of all the Enneagrams and how that showed up as like an essential essence. That's maybe a little redundant, but the power of that was, and how it showed up in my life was a great example of sometimes that the intention is everything. When I showed up and I brought my intention and I lived into these different areas, I began to see in my life, I would describe it as me being taken up to a more challenging, powerful, inspiring, and somewhat daunting. So I was a little nervous and afraid of this because it was something I wasn't quite used to. And what I experienced is a lot of things coming into my life that were a way of connecting me with my leadership role. It was really astonishing. You mentioned our understanding of spirit of God and how this plays in with this work. And you also referenced how this can kind of support people doing a lot of different things within the roles that they play in life. So if you could speak a little bit, Mike and Emily, about this offering, the next level leadership essentials, and what you've seen when you've given this training before occur in people who have stepped into this work, and what you've seen, how you've seen them absorb the work, and what you've seen happen in their lives with this.
Could I say something here? Because I really I like the track that we're on right now. One of the examples I used is if you show up at a orchestra concert and everyone's warming up with their instruments, you wonder whether or not they know how to play them. because there's no harmony, there's no integration, there's no coordination, there's no communication. It's just a bunch of people blowing or scratching strings. And what they're doing, they're tuning. And then the conductor comes in, the leader, and he taps on the thing, it goes quiet, and he goes like this, and there's harmony. All those different sounds come together in perfect harmony. And without harmony, there's no symphony, which is what Arturo Toscanini said, the composer. And these essentials are the alignment of all those instruments to create a harmony, and within which you can see order and chaos, within which you can get things done. And when Inali says, that the sum of us all as a group is greater than the sum of the parts, that's not a new thought. I think Aristotle was the first one that said it, and that's, God, now we're going back 3,000 years. And once you understand that, this is not trite. This is serious. And if you're leading people, and you can bring all their skills and all their knowing and all their experience into harmony, there's absolutely nothing that a group can't do. And one of the things that causes us to gather as a group, not the least of which is a job, we feel aligned with the community, or as we gather with a culture, we learn their language, and it was interesting to see some of the results. There's many ways to put it, but when a litigator becomes a peacemaker, that's a change. When a father becomes daddy, or a mom becomes mommy, or someone with all this doctor stuff and all this board certified, what have you, when they're really in touch with the leader that lies within them, they become healers. And they think of themselves differently, because it's fun. Wow, wow, it's an amazing experience.
Yeah, I just want to add something there. I love the metaphor that Mike is using of honing the instrument, because that's what the essentials do. They hone the instruments. We have these many voices inside of us, these many parts of us. And it's like all these instruments, before the orchestra, all playing different notes, and it creates chaos, sometimes a life of silent desperation, because we don't know what to listen to or where to go. And so the essentials are those things that we do to become the conductor of our own symphony inside. And by listening to that symphony, we can then extend it outside to our families, to our communities, to our organizations. And so that's the opportunity here for the essentials.
And by the essentials, you're speaking of the Next Level Leadership Essentials offering. Can you speak a little bit about that offering? How this is going to occur, when it's going to occur, and who is this offering really for? And also, the Next Level Leadership Essentials, I've experienced, from what you've shared, it's an opportunity for people to step into a very unique way of creating a very positive and powerful transformation in all areas of their life.
Yeah. When I think of the Next Level Leadership Essentials, I think of a quote from Socrates that says, "The unexamined life is not worth living." So a big part of this program is to examine yourself. In that examination of self, that's where the honing of the instrument comes. And so the program is designed based on very deep inquiries that we're going to work in ourselves. We are going to work with one another, so that from those inquiries, those essentials that I mentioned, integration and adaptation and stabilization and trust and sacrifice, they all emerge out of that that inner exploration. And they emerge in terms of an intellectual concept. Yes, we understand them differently, but they also emerge in terms of the way I embody those concepts. And it's not an intellectual thing. It's an embodiment that comes from the gut, kind of like, how does this applies in my life in ways that is not so much like an intellectual thing, but it comes naturally, physically through the body and through the heart, of course, in your emotions. So we learn to use those inquiries to create our awareness of mind, body, and heart. And those inquiries allows us to hone the instruments so that these essentials become part of who we are, become a way of being. I want to say become habits, but they're much bigger than habits. You had asked, who are they for?
Yes, exactly.
Let me cover, because this is the second time you asked that question and we haven't covered it yet. So who are they for? They are for the seekers. They are for the curious. They are for the courageous. They are for the ones that are willing to walk through their resistance. They are for the ones that are willing to look inside with honesty and ruthlessly go pose to themselves the questions that are uncomfortable, because that's the only way to hone our instruments. It's very hard to hone our instruments if we're not open to that level of inquiry. And so if you're ready for that, if you are in a time in your life where, you don't want to rehearse anymore, and this is it, the show, this is the show. We don't get a second chance. Some of us, like me, and I'm 55 years old, it's like, this is it. This is the show. My research has ended, and now I'm in the front stage, and that's what it is. That's what life is all about, and that's what we get. And so if you're ready for it, come and you won't regret. Now, if you don't know yet, and you want to do it, but not so much, you're not all in, I'm not sure I'm committed, this is not for you. This is not for you. And that can encompass anybody, an executive, a parent, an artist, an educator, a teacher, a coach, because once you do this level of inquiry to yourself, you can bring others into it too. In fact, your very presence allows certain inquiries to transpire from you naturally by what you say and even by what you don't say, by your words and by your silence. And so you can utilize this for your communities, your children, your co-workers, your employees, if you are an entrepreneur. So it really applies to anyone who is curious, courageous enough to dive deep inside themselves.
Beautiful. And Mike and Emily, do you have any stories about some of the students who have graduated through this program and anything they may have experienced? And it's interesting, you speak of this about being all in, and I'm thinking, oh, this is quite a high bar you're setting. But I will just share from my personal point of view. I came in at a point in my life where I was experiencing a lot. And I'm like, oh, one more thing. Can I do one more thing? And what's amazing so often is when you say yes to something that is a deeper calling, it's like the universe. I felt that the universe really expands to meet you at the point of action. And I really felt this with the Enneagram riddles and with that instant. And for the next level leadership essentials, the way you're speaking, it also seems both a challenge to bring something that is all in, and also a way to allow something larger than yourself to really be created from a power that is just extraordinary. And I'd love to hear some stories about some of the students that you've had and some of the, I know you have a board, you've been doing this for quite some time. You you've got amazing stories of some of your students that are featured. I put a link in this event so people can click on and hear some of their stories. But I'd love to hear it from you, how these students have been experiencing next level leadership essentials.
Yeah, I just got an email yesterday, and I'm not going to share the whole thing because it's private, but this graduate, so nice. So I'll read this one paragraph that he brought forward. He said, "I will say that the work that we've done together supported me with fortitude, perspective, and demeanor to make these changes. It was a major decision to leave a comfortable, easy environment with lots of relationship. So thank you for all that you've done, and I look forward to continuing the work." So that's one. But I also want to say that in our graduation for the leadership, we have a traditional song that we use for graduation. And the song is the one that says, "I'll be watching you. You know, no matter where you go or what you do, I'll be watching you." Because graduates become part of our family, and we keep watching them. And so some of them you will see in the testimonials, but others I've seen them transform their careers. We have one graduate who was she was a corporate executive, overworked and tired and depressed, and she launched a whole new career. Launched her own business, her own brand, started her own work, created her own line of work, supporting companies, providing services to these companies. And then COVID hit, and she bloomed because she was all set up. She was online. She had what he needed, and she bloomed. It was amazing. She is part of our advisory board as well, and it's amazing to watch. And we have other graduates who have moved on to create their coaching careers or to expand their breadth of work within the corporations that they are with, leading roles that were worldwide, that encompass different cultures and different personalities and different ways of dealing with people. And I think the Enneagram has contributed tremendously for this opportunity for them to expand the people that they lead. We've seen people change jobs, change relationships as well. Some decided to break up their relationships and started a new kind of relationship path. So it's just amazing to see, and we keep watching them because their lives fill our lives.
And so many bonds are forged also just within the offering. I can share from Enneagram Riddles, this next Institute for Next Level Leadership offering. We had an opportunity. One of our graduates said, "I look forward to this just like Christmas morning." Mm-hmm. And she was almost tearing up. It was very moving to hear her share that. And for me to experience being with Mike and being with Emily in this container, and all these people who are connecting with this amazing training and what's offering to their life, and this next level leadership essentials, which, when is it going to be starting? It
starts February 24th. It's
February 24th.
It's going to be offered online 2 hours every Friday, except we have a break for spring break.
Yes.
And it's gonna, but the learning actually starts when we end our sessions. Our sessions is just the sparkle.
That is so true.
And then learning starts when we say goodbye and life begins, because the universe is the greatest teacher.
Wow. And the playing field of the training I was involved in, it was extraordinary. I mean, I was going through some interesting things at that point in time. And I felt just an amazing level of support. And can you tell me a little bit about the Next Level Leadership Essentials, how the weeks are structured, what is the core of the program, and how will people be experiencing it?
So it's 2 hours online with the group. In those 2 hours, we're going to be going through deep inquiries and some out-of-the-box exercises. And that can include meditation, guided meditation, movement, drawing, painting, and other. We used to have a lot of out-of-box exercises when we were doing this in person. It was really interesting. But now online, we have adjusted and adapted, and we have some things in store for this, coming up for this program. And then outside of class, outside of our sessions, there's going to be a deeper level of commitment than we had in the Enneagram Riddles program. So people are going to be asked to track certain things. Those trackings are going to be reported back, and they're going to work with groups outside of the class. The group work outside of class is going to be very detailed as to what is to be discussed, what is to be brought forward. And the opportunity there is to share, how am I living these essentials? What is the universe bringing for me? How is the universe teaching me here? And also for us to listen how it's happening to the other ones in our small groups. Because we learn not only by what we go through, but also by what we see and what we hear and what we witness from others. They become greater mirrors for us. And so we're going to have this, also this outside assignment. So the commitment is going to be 2 hours online every week, 1 hour per month with a group. And we do offer as well, for those who want, we offer individual coaching during the program. We offer individual coaching during the program and outside the program. But during the program, it becomes even more precious, because so much is happening and there is such a deep inquiries and there is such sacred movement happen within each person. The individual coaching is an amazing way of deepening and creating roots with this work.
I was thinking about it's like upside down school. You know, in school, you get a lesson, and then you take a quiz or a test, and then you fail, and then you experience failure. And I'll tell you, failure is the fertilizer for success, in my life. But this upside down, you get the test, and then you get the experience. And with that comes the lesson and the growth and upliftment. And I describe it, one way that, is an ongoing process for me. And I'm learning to love the parts of me that I really don't really adore. And those are wonderful experiences. And I had someone tell me years ago, Miguelito, yo quiero que su mente enamore su corazón. I had no idea what she was talking about. She was saying, little Michael, and I was 20. My wish for you is that your heart, your brain fall in love. And that was an answer to that's a long journey. It's only about 18 inches.
Oh,
It's been the longest journey of my life. But it's all good. And the wisdom that comes out of it, because what you think you know passes through that portal of experience. And it'll put you on your knees sometimes. But it's all good.
But it is really designed to put you into your light.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Live from a place of light.
And
sometimes we have to go through our knees to get to the light. The universe will bring it in whatever way.
I'm more and more convinced. I mean, I don't think anybody could change my mind that every requisite skill and ability, everything that we are talking about, is part of the magnificence of our creation, however that happened. Because I reflect back on my career and the countries and the languages I've learned and the cultures and the differences and whatever. I was doing some of this, woke up. Before I didn't even have a vocabulary for it. And so it's, we all got it, you know, and it's not free. I mean, this is Bobby McGee. Freedom's just another word with nothing left to lose. Chris Christopherson.
Mike, I love how you correctly identify that as a Chris Christopherson's lyric, because almost everybody says it's Janis Joplin. Chris Christopherson wrote that lyric, and it's something I used to sing bicycling. I once bicycled all the way from Oregon down to California. I would sing that song as I was riding. And so our heart has a certain wisdom. I was living my essence at that point.
Yeah.
And just being here with both of you is such an extraordinary experience. And just as we kind of bring this to a close, and this recording will live on for people who are able to connect with this and to hear this and to kind of experience what you've shared about this program. Now, if I'm living life in the 21st century, and there's a lot of offerings around that are, kind of pulling my attention, and there are, what is very special about this that will connect me with some very practical results that are very much needed for how we are living our lives? You've shared a lot about this, but if you could kind of summarize this particular area and how this shows up in the Next Level Leadership Essentials program.
Well, there's one thing I'd like to mention here, because this was present since we began with the programs. Our first program, actually, I want to say, was called Turning Point in 2006. We create this program, and the programs that we have today is also kind of inspired by that, but this is a different story. But one thing we decided when we created the Institute, our first program started in 2018, graduated 2019, I think, it was prior to COVID. And one thing that we wanted to make sure we provided was intimacy. Nobody is left behind. No voice is unheard. No one is unseen in this program. And I take a lot of programs. I think only my education, if I can calculate the amount of money I spend in my education alone, it would be more than $1 million. And I still take programs because I like to be involved. And I take programs with 200 people. I'm currently taking one for 150 people, and you're lost. You're one more person on the screen, and it's very difficult to come in, to share, to be part of it, to even get a question in. That's not what happens here. We want to make sure that everybody's seen, everybody has heard, we are watching you, really. We are watching you. And I think that connection, that intimate connection, unspokenly creates a tremendous leverage for transformation. Nobody can transform alone. If we could transform alone, we would already have transformed. We require community. We require this mirror. We require someone that holds our hands and that it's there for us, and they can give us a sense of being held that way. And that's something that we are proud to offer. I use the slogan, offering the highest service for the highest good, and we don't take this lightly. We don't take this lightly. And the highest service for us is that presence.
Yeah, and that's beautifully said. And let me see if I can simplify it just a little bit. Everybody is selling hamburgers. But nobody is selling hamburgers. They're selling their difference. I mean, Harley Davidson thought they were selling motorcycles. They're selling lifestyle. And I think about the essence of what we're selling. We're selling the awareness of you, or something like that. We're selling the opportunity to fulfill the essence of humanity, to commune and communicate and gather in a loving, accepting group that
Beautiful.
that is also perfectly comfortable in their imperfection
Yes.
as knowing that's part of me, and I need to understand it. And when I
It was
understand it, it releases an incredible amount of power.
I just want to thank both of you. Is there anything else you'd like to share that with anybody considering this? Any last words of wisdom that you just want to?
Yeah, I want to share a couple of things that I don't think was mentioned here. One part of our program has to do with all our programs, not only this one, has to do with observation. You know, we learn by observing, and so we watch a lot of videos in some of our programs, including in this one, because we are getting cues and notes that we wouldn't otherwise. That's one thing. And the other thing that I want to point out is that one highlight of selling essence. Why do we want to stand on essence? Why do I want to do the hard work to be in my essence? What does essence do for me? What essence does for you is give you resilience, because life will bring difficulties, life will bring setbacks, and your ability to be resilient to that, to keep moving forward, keep going, stay calm, and keep moving is what's going to define your success. And to find that resilience, you need to be in touch with your essence, with your higher grounds, with these essentials, so that no matter what happens, there's only one way forward, and that way is up high, is going higher and higher into your essence and closer to who you truly are.
And you're going to be speaking with people about this. People have the opportunity to schedule a call with you. This is just so generous, and this speaks so much of who I already know you to be, this offering of coaching for anybody who wants to get on this, to seek more clarity about what you just shared, about what you offer with the Institute of Next Level Leadership Essentials, what you're offering with the Next Level Leadership Essentials upcoming program. Everybody can go, there's going to be a link under this, just connect with this link, and they'll be able to speak with you in person about this on these calls. I highly urge everybody to take advantage of this, because it will just ignite you.
You don't need a tranquilizer, just a seatbelt. That's all.
And we thank you, Shannon. Thank you for your support, for being here with us, for your inspiration, for your joy, for the guidance and the leadership you provide us in doing what we're doing here, and for being part of our programs. We love working with you. You do a great job.
Thanks,
We're blessed by you.
Thank you very much.
Everyone, thank you so much. I hope to see you everybody in the next offering.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye, everyone.
for sure.